Welcome to the Unfuck My Life Experiment podcast, where we explore the question, what would happen if you took radical personal responsibility for your life for the next 365 days? I'm Beki Dunmeyer of Seducer Market, and this is Cheryl Ellis of Faceless Warrior Project.
Howdy.
And she was serenading me before we started recording, which is why we were both laughing hysterically.
I'm not singing it again.
I think you should.
But
I feel
it's
like
so
that would make a good
inauthentic once
punishment.
the record button's hit. It feels forced now.
I don't like to feel like I'm putting on a show for people. I like it to just be
Yes,
spontaneous utterances of
this is not a
musical
show.
quality.
This is not a show. It's a podcast. We're not here to entertain you people with our shenanigans.
Am I here for your amusement? Are you amused?
Unfuck my
I'm
life.
All right, so we have a great episode today for you guys. We're gonna talk, I'm not gonna title it this, but this is essentially what we're talking about, is how to find the silver linings in the shit show.
We are
So-
calling this episode Gratatouille.
We are calling it Gratatouille, because we are going to talk about how to find things to be grateful for in the midst of when your life feels like it's falling apart. Like
When you feel like your life is fucked.
Yes, when you feel like your life is proper fucked, you can then go and say, okay, well, this is really
Thank
shitty,
you for fucking me.
but how was this a good fucking for me? And how can I use this to my advantage going forward?
Are we talking about good sex or gratitude?
Yes. I mean, I'm grateful for good sex. I feel like if you want more of it in your life, you have to express gratitude for it, right?
Now that's a true story.
See? So I'm
That
hey,
sounds
you
like
first.
that sounds like the whole episode right there.
Yeah, but it's not. Let's dig into it.
Let's get going. In a nutshell.
You guys leave it to the squirrel to bring up nutshells.
Squirrel.
So I don't know if you guys have been feeling it, but there has just been kind of almost everybody I've talked to is going through some kind of shit right now. They're just,
Yo, man, what is it they say? There's like 5 planets in retrograde or some dumb shit.
yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
and there's all this shit going on with things and stuff in the news and on social media and words we can't say because we're recording, but like in the midst of all of this chaos and all of this unfamiliar territory, how do you find things that you can be grateful for so that you can focus on the things that you're moving towards? So there's actually a quote by Socrates.
Ooh, she's pulling out the big guns
I'm pulling out
today.
Socrates. This will probably be available as a wallpaper if you guys want to download it to your phone.
Socrates, yes.
Is the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So kind of want to focus how do we focus the energy on building the new when getting rid of the old is kind of causing unpleasantry to abound.
Evacuating with the old. Yeah.
Evacuating.
Change is never comfortable.
Well, that's
Change
kind of
is never comfortable, right?
Well, if it's comfortable, it's not really change.
Like, I feel like this is probably, there's some science somewhere that will back this up, but the human condition is completely resistant to change. We are programmed for homeostasis. So when you break outside of what your normal and what your comfort zone is, it is going to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But the important part in that process is being a bit sadistic and finding gratitude in the discomfort, right?
Masochistic.
You like masochistic better?
It is, because sadistic is like finding joy in causing the pain,
I
whereas
love it when you educate my ass.
masochistic is finding joy in receiving the pain. So I think it would be more of a masochistic thing in this
Okay,
thing,
so
'cause-
let's be masochistic then. Let's
Yeah.
embrace the discomfort, right? Embrace the suck.
find the pleasure in the pain.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. You have to, because really what it's about is just recognizing what the circumstance is. You got to be able to see it from a big picture point of view.
Mhm.
Step outside of the nuance of the moment and see the big picture. Realize that what you're going through is temporary, and there are better things in the next evolution.
Mhm. So one thing that that comes to mind is my spawn was going through some entrepreneurial type training, and they came up with, that was designed for kids, and they came up with this equation of E plus R equals O, right? So it is the event plus the response equals outcome. And I think what this is talking about is you can be reactive to something, or you can respond to something, but it's not the event itself that has the power to make your life be whatever it is or have the outcome. It is your response to the event. So how you handle when the event comes up is going to determine what your outcome is. And I think that that's really important, for especially when everything seems to be falling apart. The way that it gets better is by you controlling your response to that event.
That's actually something that I posted about this week on the Faceless Warrior Project, was the baseline of developing your emotional intelligence and how important that is in developing communication in your life, in all the relationships in your life. It's really, once you develop that awareness of your emotions, once you can recognize what emotions are coming to the surface, then you're at another level. Okay, you have the choice now that you can react or respond, and that's where accountability comes in.
Yeah.
Right now, all of a sudden you get to have these more evolved conversations with the people around you about, okay, well, you didn't make me feel this way, I chose to react this way, and I reacted this way because, or I apologize for reacting. I should have responded in a more productive manner. So I think it's important that people come to realize what it is. You're right. Are you reacting to a situation, or are you looking at it from a more logical perspective? Like, are you doing the best that you can do with the information that you have at hand, or are you letting your emotions run you?
Well, because it does all come down to the emotion that you're attaching to that event. Like, 3 different people could encounter the same event and have 3 completely different reactions, because their life experience up to that point is going to kind of inform how they make a decision according to what happens. And it's also a place where you have to decide in and of yourself, like, what your core values are. Because if you haven't decided, for example, that you are going to act with integrity whenever anything comes up, that you are going to stay aligned with your integrity.
Set your filters right. Yeah.
If you haven't decided that, then your reaction, and it's probably going to be a reaction at that point, is going to be vastly different from somebody who has chosen to, act a certain way and then said, okay, in order for me to act this way, I need to step back. I need to see what's going on here. I need to address my emotions if I'm triggered by anything, and do my inner work, and like make sure that I'm not coming from a like hot-headed place or just lashing out, like a hurt people kind of moment. Like, I'm not just trying to hurt them because I feel hurt. But you can actually take all that, and that's emotional intelligence. Like, that's healthy emotional intelligence, is
Right.
having the wisdom to say, this happened, this is how I am reacting, but let's analyze that a little bit, and then let's respond. And then that determines the outcome.
Yeah. And that same way of determination, I mean, gratitude is very much a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude's a choice that you have to make every single day. I mean, you could choose to be in whatever mindset that you want, but think about the pursuit of happiness, right? It's the same basic storyline. I don't remember the character's name, but Will Smith, he chooses that even though his circumstances are absolutely atrocious, he chooses happiness. And that happiness is in recognizing the good things that he had. He had one major filter. He was going to make sure that his son was taken care of. And as long as his son was good, they were good.
Right.
That was his filter, was to choose to make sure that his son only saw gratitude and happiness. You can choose to see whatever you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
So why not choose gratitude? Why not choose happiness? Gratitude goes so far beyond what your present circumstances are. It doesn't matter where you are. There's somebody else that's got the situation much worse than your own. And I hate to minimize people's experiences with that comparison. I hate to minimize people's experiences. That's one of the worst things that you can say to somebody that's going through something terrible is, oh, so there are people who have it worse. It's not a great mindset. However, if you yourself take a look outside of yourself and recognize that, yeah, it definitely could be worse. Let me look around and see all the things that I do have that are going right for me. You'll find that you start attracting more right things, more great things. The more that you show gratitude, the more that you're going to attract things to make you grateful. It's the same as that thing, like when you're shopping for a car, then all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere you go.
Yeah.
When you adopt that mindset of gratitude, you just start finding reasons to be grateful.
Well, and I think when it comes to, like you said, you didn't want to minimize anybody's experience. I think the easy way to not minimize anybody's experience is to just look at your situation and then say, has anybody had it worse than I have currently that was able to turn this around? So just
That's great reframe. I like
that.
Yeah,
look for situations where somebody maybe didn't have as many resources as you did, or maybe didn't have a support network that you do, and then you can be grateful that you have those things in your life. And it's not throwing shade on that other person, because they were amazing to have made that transformation without the resources that you have. But then how much faster are you going to be able to get the result that you want, or how much easier is it going to be for you that you have that? And then you can be really grateful that you have that network with you.
Truth. I love that. I actually started it was a 21-day challenge that I did a couple of months ago. And every day when I woke up in the morning, I would do a 12-minute meditation that was just this woman reading off various things to be grateful for. Thank you for the air I breathe. Thank you for my warm shower. Everything from the conceptual ideas to very minute physical things that you're going to interact with in your day. But it's funny, once you adopt that mindset of gratitude, how your energy just changes in small ways in every area of your life. And it's true. Once you change that energy, you start attracting people and circumstances to your life that probably you would have been more resistant to if your eyes hadn't been open and ready to receive.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think a lot of times, I know, at least for me, it's easy to forget how much I take for granted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there are a lot of, even when I'm having a really shitty time in life, there are a lot of things that I am super, super grateful that I do have going for me. Like, one of the things, so I've been to rock bottom a couple times. And one of the things that I've always been able to be grateful for is my ability to look at the situation and say, this sucks. Now, how do I get out of it?
Yeah. And you
So
develop that resilience the more you go through it.
you do, because you can't develop resilience without having challenges to become resilient by overcoming.
Yeah.
Like you have to be tested in order to know whether you're going to give up or whether you're going to find a way to overcome.
Yeah, one of the things I like to think about when I'm going through really shitty situations is what awesome lessons am I learning right now?
Yeah. You almost have to look for how can I grow as a result of what I'm going through right now? Because
I
yes,
never thought I would reach the point with my devil X. I never thought I would reach the point of gratitude, but I actually, at this point in my life today, am starting to see that over the horizon, that I'm going to soon be in a position where I'm truly grateful, because I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for all the shit that I walked through, you know?
right. And
So
I,
I'm almost like, bring more, bring it on. I don't really want that. I don't really want that, but still.
So I think that there's an important distinction there, is that you can be grateful for the lessons that you learned without being grateful for the way you learned those lessons. So because I feel like this is kind of a slippery slope, and this is actually a conversation I've had with a couple of people, is so I should be grateful for the people who abused me.
Oh yeah, okay.
No, you don't need to be grateful for that, but you can be grateful that you were able to survive, and that that shitty situation helped equip you with the tools that you need, and with the wisdom and all of the other things that you gained in order to be at the place that you are now, and to take those skills to a healthy place.
Yeah, I still haven't reached a point where I've completely forgiven yet,
Right.
but that's a difficult place to reach when you are still walking through through the abuses, you
And I
know?
don't think that you necessarily need to forgive the person.
But forgiveness, this is a different video we can get to at
Yeah,
some other point. Forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for you.
it's for you, but you can still be grateful for things without forgiving that other person yet.
Yeah. There's a lot of lessons that I've learned that I'm extremely grateful for.
Yeah.
Extremely grateful for. I absolutely would not be where I'm standing today if it wasn't for that experience. So I chose to take that experience. And again, this goes back to what I was saying about making a choice. I chose to take that experience and create something with it,
Mm-hmm.
rather than slipping into anger. Like, I easily could have been angry and resentful, but instead I chose to create something good out of it that hopefully will help other people in the same circumstances or similar circumstances to cope better than I did.
Well, and that comes down, I mean, that highlights a key component of what we're all about, is every individual in every situation can choose how they interact with that situation.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
the difference between a super shitty thing and something that you can turn into, you can find the silver linings for, is just your attitude towards the thing.
That's one thing that you always have control over, isn't it?
It
That
is.
is the one thing that no matter what, you have control over, is
It's
how you react and what your reaction is going to be. What is your response going to be to a given situation? That's the only thing you got control over in this world.
exactly. It's the only thing that you can control. Out of everything in this entire universe, the only thing that any individual has control over is their own behavior and responses. And that will then, it'll have a ripple effect. And so it'll influence the situations and the people and the environments that you're in. But it all comes down to you just making a choice for yourself about how you want to live your life and what will make you feel good to have done in any given situation. This is something I think that comes up a lot. The easiest example is to look at divorces. There are super contentious divorces, and then there are people that divorce and are still like co-parenting and they get to both sides of the family like get together and they all work together as a team, and those are two like polar opposites really of how, but the only difference in those situations is how the people within those situations chose to react to the things that happened.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think we could get into this one in a different episode at some point too, but there's a movement out there about conscious uncoupling.
mm-hmm.
When a couple reaches a point, you have it. I bet you do, don't you? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Of course I
And
do.
the author is?
It is Catherine Woodward Thomas.
Yeah, she's special. I've heard her talk a couple of times. But yeah, the idea is that are you emotionally aware enough to recognize when your relationships have reached a level of where there is no more growth that can happen between you and another person. So when you're at that point where you're at the risk of toxicity, are you able to let go without resentment and consciously separate and go separate ways? That's a non-contentious, conscious uncoupling divorce. Most people, unfortunately, we hang on too long.
Yeah. And then
Most of us out there,
and then
yeah, we hang on until it just gets sick, and then all that sickness comes out. And I could go on for days about divorce and how toxic the whole system around divorce is, and how the system actually encourages more toxicity between people. It's pretty gross. But again, like we were talking about, it depends how you decide you want to show up
exactly
in that situation.
Exactly, because you can't necessarily stop the other person from doing whatever they're doing. You can't always make them make better decisions. But you can decide whether you're going to play into the game and respond the way that they want you to, or if you're going to say, no, this is the response that feels like it's in integrity with who I want to be and who I'm becoming. So even if you're a total douchebag, I'm still going to behave in a way that feels good for me, for my own sake, not for your sake, but for my own sake. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that I'm dealing with right now. Is I could make it contentious. I would be well within my rights to start claiming this and that, but that's not the energy that I want to bring. That's not like, that doesn't feel good for me to be like that. And I've had a lot of people say, oh, well, that's going to put you at a disadvantage or whatever, but it's not for me. It's not about what I can get, but about how I feel about the interaction.
Who you can be leaving the situation. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have to live with anybody else for the rest of my life. The only person I'm stuck with through thick and thin, no matter what, is me. And if I can't live with myself, but integrity is a whole different issue, but I can look back on my relationship and be grateful for the good time that we had. I can be grateful for the ways that it challenged me and like showed me some of my hidden trauma shit by triggering the fuck out of me. Like, I can be grateful that it was at the very least a mirror into some of the more negative behaviors that I then could, because I could see them, could then go in and address and kind of work through and grow from. So even though I didn't like it at the time, I still don't like it when I see the ugly side of my own personality, but I'm thankful that I'm now at a point, due to our relationship and other external factors, that I can say, okay, I understand that this is a trigger, and now I can go work on it.
That's emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the only way that happens is by being triggered a lot of times and choosing how to respond to it.
Right.
right?
It's like that Henry Ford mindset. What did Henry Ford say? It's like whether you think
If
you
you think
can
you can or you think you
think you
can't, you're
can't, you're
right.
right. It's kind of the same mindset, but with a choice. Whether you think a situation is good or you think a situation is bad, you're right.
It'll become whatever you
It
think
will
it is.
become whatever you think it is, because you're going to see the good or you're going to see the bad in a given situation.
And you're going to act accordingly
Right.
to what you see.
Right.
So
should I read my Zen story?
Yeah, I mean, I think
my Taoist story.
It's a perfect time for it, because I
mean,
think
it does. Yeah, it fits in there. You're right.
I think it all boils down to you can control how you view things, and the meaning that you assign to certain events.
Exactly.
Is all in your head.
It's all in your head.
So once you realize that it's all in your head, and you can then go into your head and change those things. I mean, that's the whole basis for neuroplasticity, is
right.
Changing it doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Head. Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
It's never easy.
It takes consistency, and it takes, a concerted effort. But if you put in the work and you choose to focus on the things that are in the direction you want to go, then all this shit that happens that was for the old you doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. The Taoist story. Should I tell the Taoist story?
Yeah, get into the story.
All right. The Taoist story is about the old farmer. So he worked his crops for many years, right? And then one day his horse runs away. Mm-hmm. And when they heard the news, the neighbors came by and they were, oh, sorry, you had such bad luck. And they were all sympathetic for him, right? His response was just, well, maybe it was bad luck, maybe, right? But the next morning, the horse comes back and he brings 3 wild horses with him. So the neighbors come by again. Oh, that was great luck. Good for you. Congratulations. How wonderful. And he goes, maybe. And then the following day, his son tries to ride one of the horses and falls off the horse and breaks his leg. And the neighbors come by again. Oh, what horrible luck. And he goes, maybe. And then the day after that, the army shows up, the army officials show up, and they're recruiting all the young boys in the village to go off to war, but they see his son has a broken leg, so they leave him behind. The neighbors say, what great luck. He says, maybe. I mean, it sums it up. If you're attaching a meaning, like his neighbors were, to the given circumstances, you're not allowing opportunity for what comes next. What lesson are you supposed to receive out of a certain situation? So to overthink something and attach a meaning prior to knowing what the ultimate outcome is going to be, you never know. So that's about staying level. That's not even about gratitude necessarily, but just about staying level. No matter what's going on in your life, no matter what the circumstances are, you never know what it's going to bring. But if you have an attitude of gratitude, great things you're going to recognize them as they come, because that's become your filter. Now, when you look at the world, you look for the good. You see the good, and it changes your energy towards life. Why not choose happiness, right?
Exactly. Like, why not? If you can choose to be the victim of circumstances where everything is out of your control and you really don't have a say in anything, that's such a powerless statement. But nobody's taking that power away from you. You're just choosing
to give it
away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So by just saying, hey, no, like, this stuff happened. Okay. Now what do I do to make it better? Now what can I do to be better? What can I do to change this situation? It then shifts into a whole different frame of mind than somebody who is sitting there helpless thinking, oh, everybody's coming against me. Honestly, most people don't think about other people enough to be coming against anybody.
That's the truth. They're too worried about what everybody else is thinking about them.
They're too worried about how they're coming across and what they look like. And people are this is not said in a bad way, but people are inherently selfish because that's a survival skill. Is they're concerned about themselves and their welfare and what's going on in their lives, and that's always going to be the most important thing because that's how you survive. But a lot of times, because of that, we think that other people think about us a lot more than they actually do, and
that's true.
they're not. So but yeah, I think it's important to make a conscious decision to, even in bad situations, try to find something to be grateful for. Like,
And
even if it's being grateful that you didn't die. But did you die? No, thank God I didn't die.
Right? there's a journalist, his name's AJ Jacobs, and he wrote a book, I think it's called Thanks a Thousand, that's what it's called, AJ Jacobs. And essentially what he did, he started on his gratitude journey, and it was like, I'm gonna be grateful for my cup of coffee. And then his kids got him started on, well, if you're grateful for the cup of coffee, where did the coffee come from? He's like, well, shoot, okay, so let me go thank the barista, let me go. And then it just spiraled downhill. Next thing he knew, he's thanking the barista, and then he's thanking the manufacturer of the cup, and then the guy who designed the cup lid. Like, who knew so much thought went into this thing? It's actually the way that it's shaped, it's designed to release air so that the proper amount of coffee flows into your mouth and you don't burn yourself. Who knew? Next thing you know, he's out in the fields and he's thanking the manufacturer of the tractor for the guy that's running it to harvest his coffee beans, and he's thanking the guy that built the road that gets it just goes downhill. But if you allow yourself to go down that rabbit hole, that's the point I want to make. If you allow yourself to go down that rabbit hole, the air that you breathe is a gift. The fact that the air that you breathe is relatively clean is a gift. There's so many things from the second you open your eyelids to be grateful for. So if you ever have a shortage of things to be grateful for, really, honestly, just close your eyes and take a breath. Be grateful for the bees and the fact that there's plants growing out of the ground so you have oxygen to breathe. It's a different rabbit hole, but man, go there. When I was in my darkest places and most angry that I've ever been, that's the way that I climbed back out, was to say, you know what? I'm not dead. So let me flip this and start looking at something in a different light. And life changes. Life changes instantaneously when you put that filter over your lens.
It does, because then you're approaching life from a place of control, from a place of power, of the world can be against me, right? But I'm still breathing, so it's not going to get me down. The world can be against me, but my brain still works, so I can figure a way out. That was a big one for me. When shit was going bad, it was like, okay, but my brain still works. So if nothing else, I can think about this situation and try to figure out, if I can't figure out a plan, I can at least figure out who could maybe help me with a plan. Right? So it's not necessarily that you have to be grateful for the things that you can do yourself, but be thankful for the ability to find the resources that you need, or that you have the time to do it, that you can make an opportunity to. And even if your world isn't a total shit show at the moment and it's just kind of like meh, right? Be thankful that there's not huge chaos in your life, and for the relative peace that you have, and the awareness that it is good, but it is not great. So now you can go look for what is great, what would be great for you. So just an awareness of where you're
that's
at,
juicy.
something that you can be very grateful for. Because the first step to solving a problem is
recognizing that you have one.
Recognizing that it exists. So I'm always super even if it's like a fuck, what now kind of grateful, it's at least I know what I'm dealing with. And if I know what I'm dealing with, I can figure out a way around it or over it or through it or it going in the other direction. Like I can make a plan when I know what I'm dealing with. Right?
Touche. Touche.
So I think that a good challenge would be for our listeners would be to make a habit of in the morning or at night or both, whatever feels more comfortable for you, is coming up with 3 things that you're grateful for.
3 was never enough for me.
It's not, but it's a good start, right? At least 3.
Write them down though. That was the thing that made the difference for me. This made all the difference, was getting in that mind space of allowing that feeling of gratitude to become visceral in the process. Don't just write down, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Mentally re-experience it. Whatever it is, whatever that thing is that you're grateful for, go deep with it.
Yeah.
Feel it. Remember,
let it like come from the core of you, not just surface level. Oh, I'm grateful that I can still breathe. Like, are you though? Like, do you need me to come choke you out for a minute so you know what not breathing is like and then you can be real thankful for the breath? Like, have that level of I almost drowned and now I can breathe kind of gratitude for the fact that you are alive and well and you are breathing and your body is operating independent of you having to supervise every, like, the way your body works is amazing. So be thankful for that.
Ooh, that's a fun one. When you do inner science, that's a fun one. Yeah.
There's a lot of complicated shit going on in our bodies on the regular.
Man, think about your eyeballs. Start there. It'll really freak you out when you start thinking about how your vision works. It's miraculous. Then you start thinking about speech and hearing. Oh man, rabbit holes. Good times.
I mean, but you can go deep down those, and those are not things that like it takes any special anything to be grateful for.
Right.
Like that doesn't. And I know people, maybe they're going to come out, oh, well, what about the people that can't see? Okay, then they have other senses.
Listen, I only half hear and I only half see. So I'm grateful for the half that I've got. It's fun.
Exactly. And being grateful that going through life with that experience teaches you certain lessons. Like, I mean, I know that with my chronic health issues, they're teaching me really profound lessons on how to move through it and how to overcome it and how I treat myself. You know what I mean? Like some of these lessons you can't learn except by going through shit that shows you how wrong something is. Not necessarily wrong, but like how not aligned something is for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's also important to keep a sense of humor, man.
It is.
It's so important to just keep a sense of humor. Understand that in each thing that happens to you in life, even people, you spoke for a second on people with disabilities. The people I know with disabilities, the way that they keep saying is to be able to laugh at it.
Yes.
You know, like they
just dark humor. It has to be a little bit of dark humor in there.
Sometimes, but ultimately it's really about they live in their skin every day, so they got over the bitterness about it.
Yeah. Because if
they're over feeling sorry for themselves. So at this point it's like, man, okay, whatever. I'm the blind guy. You know, it must suck for you that you be able to see where you want to go and you can't get there every day. You know?
Well, and I think that's really important too, is like having those things and being able to say, like, I'm not bitter about it, right? That you said, because that's the whole taking poison and waiting for somebody else to die. That's not hurting anybody but yourself when you have that kind of like bad intent, like you're holding on to bitterness or you're holding on to blame or resentment. That's not to say you can't feel those things, but don't hold on to them forever.
Right.
Like find what you can, like, I'm going to call it work what your mama gave you. Like there are certain things that you have in your life that you can make the most out of, that you can use to your advantage.
And
Even
I'm
if
grateful
it's
as fuck
just,
that I'm half deaf because, you know, in the middle of the night I can just roll over and I don't have to listen to my neighbor flush his toilet 17 times, right?
see, bonus. Bonus right there.
Never heard somebody flush their toilet so many times.
They do flush a lot.
They really do.
Maybe they're quantum shitting.
I'm not a hater, I just flush a lot.
This is one of those days. You guys, seriously though, I don't know why I get this red. I'm just gonna address it because I know people will be like, why? She just turned into a tomato. I have 2 settings, lobster and ghost, and that's it.
I only have ghost.
Yeah?
I'm
Is
just straight Casper.
Is it space ghost, coast to coast?
You wouldn't even know. Both of us are California girls. We're the color of somebody from Antarctica.
Yeah.
Like, really, I'm so white, I'm reflective. I can't get tan.
I blind people with my
Yeah, it's not a
because it
joke.
just, yeah.
I've had people tell me that I'm not even white, I'm gray.
Oh, honey.
Sorry.
All right. So I think that we covered some good shit. If you guys want to talk to us about it, just let us know down in the comments what you think about gratitude. What are you grateful for? Make it a habit of
Give us your 3 things.
Yeah, give us your 3 things that you're grateful for. And no matter how bad or great your life is right now, just give us the 3 things. Like, I'm grateful that I have a friend that can tell me to shut the fuck up when I worry about my chubby eyelids. And just
Go back to work.
That's not a thing.
I think that's exactly what I said verbatim.
Go back to work.
That's not a thing. Go back to work.
But it's good. I'm thankful for that. I appreciate that about you.
I love you very much.
If you want to watch other episodes, I'm sure I'm going to throw a card up here at some point where you can. If you enjoy what you hear, please share us. Please let other people know what we're doing here and welcome them to join in on the Unfuck My Life experiment, because the more the merrier. That's how we roll.
That's how we roll.
So always down for group stuff.
We like fucking with people in the Unfuck My Life experiment.
We do. Because
especially each other. I mean, let's be real. The shenanigans are thick.
But all of the fuckery leads to unfuckery. So I feel it's productive in the end.
I agree. I agree. Now, the ultimate fuckery that's supposed to happen 2021, it's on the goal list, is the sumo suit. So if you want to explain about this, the Jello sumo suit, I mean, if you want to explain that, or if you want to leave it as a tease, I don't care how you want to leave that, but it's happening.
I feel like they need to go back and watch the episodes that are before this, because we do thoroughly discuss the Jello sumo suit in one of them.
It's hashtag goals for 2021.
Yeah.
This is real deal.
So this is how we know who listens to us. If they know what the sumo suit is.
Maybe we'll put it on a t-shirt and get the movement started.
I think we should.
Check out our shop.
So we love you. We hope that you are unfucking yourself quite efficiently. If not, we're here to help.
It's Beki and Cheryl selling Go Unfuck Yourself.
Go unfuck yourself.
Go forth and unfuck yourself. Insert didgeridoo.